Simulation Football League presents The Kramer Show. Your non-stop SFL action begins now.
Welcome to the very first Kramer Show, all your SFL action, buzz, news, fix, all around the Simulation Football League, all into one show. Yes, one 30-minute show where you can get all the latest. And thank you, Mike Daggs, for that beautiful intro. It actually kind of feels like a show for once. And yes, this show, like I already said about 2 times already, it's all about simulation football. We have a couple of guests coming up on the show today. We have the Arizona Scorpions owner, Eddie Gage, who's going to be on the show. We also have the St. Louis Gladiators quarterback, Johnny Pickler, who was the first overall draft pick in the past draft. So those 2 exciting guests coming up on later on in the show. So we have a big, huge show going on for our very first episode of the Kramer Show. Hope you all enjoy it. But going into the first things first is kind of like recapping last season. You guys probably didn't know what the SFL was. There's a lot of new people coming in, and actually there's a lot of people who were drafted. We had 3 rounds of the SFL draft. Probably one of the biggest drafts we've ever had. Since I've been in here. I think this is my second season being in the SFL. So you got to think, give or take, there's going to be a lot more people coming in. Yes, we're on TV. We're on For the Fans, 11 Sports, all the above. But last season, the Denver Nightwings won the SFL championship to get you caught up to speed. They beat the Seattle Tyrants in the championship game. You also got to look at the number 3 team last year was the Baltimore Vultures. Number 4 was the Mexico City Aztecs. Number 5, the Tallahassee Pride. Number 6, the Alaska Storm. Now they're the Florida Storm. They had a little bit of moving going on. That's a lot of other moving going on. Chicago Wildcats at 7, Atlanta Swarm at 8. Number 9, Tulsa Desperados. Number 10, the London Knights. We'll stop right there. Everybody else knows the rest. If you do not know the rest, go to the simulationfl.net. I had to make sure I got that right. So you have all your SFL stats, rankings. There's a lot of past articles on there. It's a very beautiful site to have, and if you need to be more knowledgeable about what's going on, always ask us in the Discord. Yes, join the Discord. Also, if you haven't done so yet, my Twitter handles are down below. So if you want to give me a follow, I'll help you out, help anybody out that's in or trying to join into the league. Of course, I'm also the general manager of the Denver Nightwings. But that was what happened last year. And, of course, sports, we're always about predictions. Predictions is probably one of the biggest things we want to talk about and seeing what's coming up in the next coming up season. What I kind of like to do is, like with every single sports, they always like to make predictions, seasons predictions. And that's what we're going to do first on the Kramer Show is what's going to happen on the very first season, what it look like in order to get to that simulation football championship on season 14. Yeah, we're already 14 seasons in. If you don't understand, you have pretty much 2 seasons a year, so we've progressed pretty quickly. But my way too early predictions, of course, we have to have Denver Nightwings at number 1. They came into the season, they won the championship last year. They're riding a 13-game winning streak to be exact. The last time they lost is who their Week 1 opponent is in the Florida Storm. Last year, the Alaska Storm, and they're actually going to go against each other Week 1, which that's amazing. That's what we want to see in the SFL. Probably the top tier game. This was also the season 12 championship that I was a part of. Alaska at the time, beat the Nightwings. So you got to see, Week 1 matchup's going to be huge. Denver Nightwings are going to actually raise that banner that night. So they're my number 1 team. Number 2 team, Mexico City Aztecs. This might be a little bit different. Last year finishing 4th. But this is a team that it seems like they just are constant. They're a constant team that stays, they build. They've won championships before, so it's not like they're brand new to this type of thing because it seems like everybody wins the championship back to back to back. I mean, we've seen the Nightwings who go to back-to-back championship only win it once. So there might be a tide turning. Number 3, Florida Storm. Mighty knows what he's doing. I don't understand. This guy's a wizard. Mighty knows what he's doing. That's why I have Florida at number 3. Now switching over from Tallahassee, they're the Jacksonville Pride now. So there's going to be a little bit of tensions in the Florida, which one's the better Florida team. You're going to see Jacksonville, I believe, rise to the occasion. That's why they're going to be number 4 this coming season. Number 5, the Atlanta Swarm. This is a team that last year finished 8th, and I believe they'll rise up to the occasion and finish 3rd. This is a team that I've never seen play the Nightwings, which I'm hoping at some point they will. I believe that is going to be before the preseason. Atlanta versus Nightwings, I'm ready for that game. But Atlanta, I can see there's a lot of potential in this team. There's a lot of buzz around them. Get buzz, Swarm. Had to throw that joke in there. Sorry, pardon me with the puns. But I feel like Atlanta's going to finish up 5. Number 6, we have the Baltimore Vultures. They had an amazing run last year, finishing 10-2, losing to Seattle in an amazing simulation football postseason game. If you haven't watched that, please do so. It's archived on our YouTube page. Please take a look at that. But Baltimore, number 6. Number 7, you're going to finish up like what they did last year, Chicago Wildcats. Started off slow, but this is a team that progresses throughout the season, which every team does progress. But this is a team that they change the playbooks up. It seems like they do. The offense clicks at the moment notice when you need it. They will click. Number 7, Chicago. Number 8, we have the Seattle Tyrants. I have brought them all the way down from number 2 to all the way down to number 8. I believe since with the rule changes with, say, running backs, you can't have those extreme builds like a linebacker being a running back. You're going to see a lot of running back mentality drop off a little bit, and I feel like it's going to hit Seattle hard. They do rely on Zach Sandlin a lot. So you gotta expect some type of decrease in production from him, and you have to also and hopefully expect production from their wide receivers and tight end, and hopefully the defense stays how they were last year. But I don't see that happening. I'm sorry, Seattle, but you're going at number 8. Number 9, the team that finished 20th last season, the Carolina Skyhawks, I believe, have improved. They've maneuvered some stuff in their ownership. They've got a new general manager. I believe there's a new general manager. I don't know, whatever Rochelle Colston actually got it to. She's going to help the team out a lot on whatever she's doing. I know it's kind of odd to say that. I can't remember what she's actually doing, but still, I feel like the Skyhawks, people want to play with these guys. This is a fun group of people. I have interviewed them in past podcasts. I know they're fun people. They know I'm fun people. So I'm going to give them that 9 spot. They're going to hopefully raise up 11 spots. We'll see if that actually does happen. Number 10, the new team to the league, the Arizona Scorpions. Eddie Gage, I knows what he's doing. Actually, I actually asked him this question coming up later on. So do you actually know what you're doing? Has there been type of changes? Yeah. You'll have that full interview later on with Eddie Gage, Arizona Scorpions owner. It's going to be a fun interview. Always love talking to Eddie, and I totally enjoy it. All right, well, once again, let's go over your way too early predictions coming up. For my way too early predictions, you have number 10 at Arizona Scorpions, number 9 the Carolina Skyhawks, number 8 the Seattle Tyrants, number 7 Chicago Wildcats, number 6 the Baltimore Vultures, number 5 the Atlanta Swarm, number 4 the Jacksonville Pride, number 3 the Florida Storm, number 2 the Mexico City Aztecs, and number 1 you have your Denver Nightwings. Those are my way too early predictions. Please sound off. Let me know what you guys think with this predictions coming up forward. What are your predictions? I love getting engagement from listeners, viewers, whatever you try to listen to on this. So of course, the Kramer Show, got to have the interaction. We'll have a lot more guests coming up too. Eddie Gage, of course, Johnny Pickler, and Jeremy Vega. But before we get to one of those interviews coming up forward, let's talk about non-contracts. Many people don't know what a non-contract means, and I'm going to give you a little bit what's going to come up here in this coming season. So for our Director of Player Personnel, players will be able to join teams in a generic role during Season 14. Teams will have the chance to add 1 player per week in this way until Week 11 of the regular season. This provides teams and users to re-sign players before the draft if they are a good fit, but you'll not be able to use a banked progression past Week 12. Note, if you joined a team in this way last season, you may not do so this season. It's only 1 season offer, so it kind of sucks for last year's non-contract players. But coming forward in Season 14, non-contract players are going to play a huge role. I know they played a huge role last year during Denver Nightwings' championship run. Nightwings actually signed 3 of those guys back, so you notice that if you tend to rely, if you're a good fit in the locker room, you're going to stay. Yes, non-contract players do not progress throughout the season. You have to be a contract player in order to progress. That's the only thing that makes sense that way, because we have to get into this league. We have to do our dues, and yes, non-contracts play a huge role, though. You get to experience a great locker room. If teams, I can't speak for other locker rooms, but I know Denver Nightwings locker room is amazing. But you get with a group of people, you understand the league a lot more better. So it's actually a good, helpful way. What I think of the non-contract players are as if it's their college season, because most of the guys want to go into the NFL draft. So I think of non-contract players, those guys that are in college trying to work their way to that next step of getting drafted, or if they can just get that signing before the draft. Actually, I kind of like that too. That's what we've done. So of course you can't get your stats taken if you're a non-contract player, but that doesn't mean you can't do it yourself. You can't be like, hey, let's do this for instance. Adam Wiseman for the Denver Nine-Wings. He's now a outside linebacker for them who was a non-contract player last year. He was able to, make an impact on a huge playing field. You can also look at Doug Day. He plays in Vancouver. Had a pick six in his first game as a player, which is amazing. So you make these big impacts, and that can award you some contracts later on at the end of the season, or maybe there was like a little mishap and someone left, or someone got hurt, or they're done for being in the SFL. You can also sign that person right there, right then. So whoever makes impact greater. If you go and then Adam didn't take control of his stats. He really didn't care. But he made mental notes like, hey, I did this last game. I made this the other game. So you can still write down your own stats. So it's not like you're just joining the league just to be a non-contract player to watch. If your player does something, make sure you write that down or make sure you remember that. So during that time of draft time, you'd be like, hey, my college year, I had this huge impact play. That's how I think of it. It makes sense that way towards me because those, say, college stats, the pro stats, you're not going to keep those stats in general. So why not make note of that? That's like your player history. Yeah, my college year, I had so-and-so touchdowns, so-and-so yards, so-and-so tackles, sacks, all the above. You can easily improve that skill and be like, hey, I'm more profitable or marketable or acquirable to help this team out. Like you're all about helping teams out win championships. That's what's great about simulation football because it's a great community. We love stats. Of course, everybody loves stats. You can't tell me nobody loves stats. Stats are a fun thing. It's actually, I love stats. I'm a huge baseball fan as well, so you got to think the stats, they're not going to lie. But the eye test is always good too. You got to make sure you see how players perform under pressure, and you just got to make sure things are a right fit. So that's what we have for the non-contracts. If you have any questions on there, please tweet at me. Please hit me up in the Discord. All totally up to you on how you want to get the information because I'm here to help. We're all here to help, and that's how we're going to keep things going on.